Hey, this is the master of Tiger Style, Lee Moriarty, and you're listening to Wrestling Cheers Podcast.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. You want to go where you can see that troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name.
And welcome back to Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name, especially when we make it a death match. This is Wrestling Cheers. We like to talk about things on the Northeast independent wrestling scene. We preview shows, we review shows, and sometimes we even have interviews along the way. This is a review for a recent AIW show, Sekimoto Takes Cleveland. I am your host. I am Justin Summers, and Wrestling Cheers is brought to you by the Trending Topics Network, Midwest Territory. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Facebook.com/WrestlingCheers, Twitter.com/WrestlingCheers, and Instagram.com/WrestlingCheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. And we still have the merch store over at webmaneuver.net. Like I said, this is a review episode for Sekimoto Takes Cleveland, and I'm not alone on these shows. I'm being joined by Stacy.
Hey man, how's it going?
Got a little streak going for you now.
Yeah, man, I feel like it's probably going to continue. If I had to guess, I think it's going to continue.
Yeah, you think you're going to be on next week's episode?
I have this strange feeling, yeah.
Weird, I do too, and it's gonna be here before we know it.
Yeah, you know, I feel like it'll feel like tomorrow.
That's kind of how things go in AIW, unless we're talking about this show, which kind of seems like forever ago.
Yeah, man, my memories are getting a little fuzzy on this one.
So I'll probably throw out, just apologies. This was 8 days before Absolution, and that's kind of the fresh thing on the mind, but we still need to talk about things that happened on this show. It was kind of like a pre-show to Absolution, even though it was, 8 days before.
Yeah, this has happened before. I think it was before Jersey.
Yeah.
That there was a Winchester show right before it. And yeah, it does kind of feel like a pre-show leading up to it, like a go-home for it. But it was a good show. It didn't take away from anything.
I was happy I got to make it out to this show, and some of the people that we got to have on it, we'll just start going through it as quick as possible. But we started off with a new Twitter handle from Parker Pierce. He's now at Pro Parker P, getting away from his old Party Like Parker, which is kind of cool. If he's changing, have his Twitter handle change. It's the small things. Going up against CPA, a dude who, has been coming to AIW now for, what are we at now? Only a couple shows.
He's been on a few shows. Man, CPA has kind of picked up a following. The first couple of shows, people didn't really know him, didn't know what to make of him, but at this show, he definitely had people behind him.
He was a name that I knew of, but I didn't know anything about, and that's because I listened to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast hosted by Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, and basically CPA's on a show that is that has the same producer, and the producer's on that show named Smart Mark Sterling, so I'd always heard the name CPA. So I was kind of like, okay, when he debuted, I was like, oh, this is a Kurt Hawkins guy. Okay, cool. And actually it was at this show, I pulled him aside, and I was like, all right, sell me on your podcast. Because their whole thing is pairing beers with a wrestling match. And my thing was, is it live, your own commentary, or what? He's like, well, sometimes, but he's like, we go on our own conversations too. And it's just we'll talk about memories maybe of the wrestler that's in the match and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. That really sounds interesting. And he said there's a Christmas Ale episode from last Christmas. And that's the Great Lakes Christmas Ale. So I was like, all right, I'm going to at least check that. I still haven't gotten to that point, but I have it downloaded and I do want to check it out. So just him coming to AIW was kind of like, okay, let me check this shit out, because now I know who you are. I see you roughly once a month. Hell, he was even at APSO, but he just wasn't in a match.
Yeah, man, he seems to be around a lot. He seems to be an AIW fixture now, and that's another thing that happens, I guess, from being around. And when they talk about the spots that are there, because I mean he's worked some of those scramble matches and stuff too before this, but there are people waiting for spots to get in at AIW, and CPA took advantage of the opportunity and seems to have built a fan base. So good for him, man. I like him.
And I don't know about you, but unfortunately, I do not remember much about this match. But
very little. It
was Parker Pierce wins via the Flip Cup.
So it looks like things might be turning around for Parker Pierce in AIW. Maybe the Dr. Dan shit's working.
And we still have match announcements to come with Rager. And with that being such a Cleveland-based show, that's going to have some students. That's a place for Parker Pierce and Dr. Dan to shine. And if I'm correct, Dr. Dan has had some pretty crazy matches in Wrestle Rager history, so we don't know yet, but there's got to be something crazy coming.
Yeah, I remember last year's match pretty specifically.
Remind me.
Him versus Swoggle?
Okay, yeah. I know he's had weird ones, but like sometimes, I don't know about you, some shows just blend together. And granted, Wrestle Rager has its own distinct feel, but it's kind of that party atmosphere where it's all just fucking fun.
Oh, I don't know. Swoggle used me as a weapon in the match, so it stands out.
Yeah, that will make it stand out.
Yeah. So I have a bit of a memory of Dan's history at Wrestle Rager. Man, this show isn't about Wrestle Rager, but boy, it's weeks away. It's only weeks away. The best AIW show of the year. Cannot wait.
Personally, Absolution's the one for me, but it's a nice 1-2 punch. I feel like Absolution is the formal, best show of the year. That's where everybody wears suits and all that. Wrestle Rager is the Absolution after party. Where, all right, Absolution's over, let's get fucking weird. Let's go crazy. Let's do this show.
Wrestle Rager is like the antithesis of Absolution. It's dirty, it's grimy, it's in a parking lot. Nobody's gonna wear a suit because it's hot. Well, Steve Guy maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say Steve did wear that suit. But
it's like it feels. It's just a different feel. It's and not even just a party feel, but like you're gonna have some deathmatch elements at Wrestle Rager. It's got that almost like dangerous feel, like a hardcore show in the late 90s. Like it's good. I really dig Wrestle Rager. Absolution was amazing. We'll talk about that on next week's show, but boy, Wrestle Rager is my favorite. It is just my favorite. What other show can you drink a whole bottle of Mad Dog at and it's totally okay? They served it to you from the bar. Come on.
Yeah.
That's living.
If I drank at shows, that would be one thing.
Yeah. But everybody else is going to make up for you, Summers.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfectly fucking Papa Pepperoni. A lot of people will fucking make up for me on that one.
Yeah. Man, Wrestle Rager. But
well, also too, here's the fun thing about Wrestle Rager, just when it comes to these episodes. We got 6 AIW episodes in a row, and this is the end of the first half. We then have the Absolution review, and then the 2 Wrestle Rager episodes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a busy part of the calendar year for AIW.
If nothing else pops up in October, it'll make up for it when there's nothing. But I worry about that shit, and that's not a big deal. I kind of like it when they have that month off or so. Sucks that we don't have a show, but
well, there usually ends up. It always seems that there's something that comes up in the middle of it that ends up getting people together anyway. A UXWA show or something.
Yeah. So next up was Alley Cat versus Super Oprah. Super Oprah's a fucking legend in the Northeast Ohio independent wrestling scene. She's been around for years. Going up against Alley Cat, this was such a fun fucking match. I love Alley Cat. Putting her against Super Oprah was just so much of a good idea. You're not going to see that anywhere else.
Man, Super Oprah is just the best. it's one of those things that, like, if Super Oprah was around all the time, I think a little bit of the like, oh my God, it's Super Oprah would go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, bringing Super Oprah in just, like once a year, maybe twice a year, it's just, man, who doesn't like Super Oprah? It's fucking great. And fucking Alley Cat, man, had a rough week, because I think that was within the same calendar week as her match with Matt Justice for UXWA at Killbuck.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he chopped the life out of her body down there. And she rolled out of that right into Super Oprah chopping the life out of her body at the fucking Winchester, man.
The only person I know that doesn't like Super Oprah, and it's more of just a joke, is Kevin Watson, AW fan. Well, I forget what year it was. We did Gauntlet for the Cache, and his number was Super Oprah. And it was just one of those moments when he knew he lost. So that's always been our joke. I mean, he doesn't really hate her, but it is kind of cool, like, when she pops up, because it's really not a lot. I think she pops up in AIW roughly once a year.
Yeah, it's usually either like a spot in Gauntlet for the Gold, I think is what it was last year.
Yeah.
Where there was that moment with Super Oprah and Twan.
Ah!
I mean, yeah, it's like once a year. Twice tops. But it was fun. That was a fun match. I liked it. It was rough. It was a hard-hitting fucking match.
That's one thing I always got to give it up to Alley Cat, because I know not everybody enjoys her wrestling, but she fucking will do that crazy shit. She'll go up against anybody. Seems like she'll do any move. She'll get beat the fuck up. Like you mentioned with fucking Justice. Like, she doesn't care. I mean, I hope she cares for her own well-being, but still, like, she's gone through so much shit. I fucking love her, like, just for it, because of some of the people she's gone up against.
She's tough, man. I think the gimmick's funny. I think the fact that that's offset with her being able to do things like, take a chop from Justice or Super Oprah and not have it phase her, man. It builds a character that people get behind,
Yeah.
So I thought this match was fun. I think most of her matches are fun, but boy, Super Oprah, man, that's a tradition that needs to keep happening at AIW.
What if we got Super Oprah for J-Lit?
Like in the tournament?
Yeah, at least opening round, obviously.
I mean, depending on who you pair Super Oprah with, that could be amazing. There's so many options.
Super Oprah versus Faye Jackson versus Big Twan.
I mean, are you putting all three of them through to the second round of an imaginary J-Lit right now?
I was putting them in a match. I wasn't exactly putting them in the second round, but...
Okay. No, those three in a match together, Twan, Faye, and Super Oprah, it's like Twan's biggest villains, man. That's...
Did you see the video on Twitter this week of Faye and Mance? And Big...
No.
I didn't exactly watch the full thing. Like, it's one of the, like, I saw it on Twitter, saw the first couple seconds, and it's like Faye sitting on Mancer's lap. And the first thing I looked for, and it was there was a reply from Big Twan. It says, Mance, we got smoke. Oh, that fucking cracked me up. So now I just, obviously still Faye and Big Twan. I need to buy that fucking show, because that match was so fucking worth it. We've talked about that one to death, but God, I love that match.
Yeah. Is that Twan match next on this show? Because boy, I can't wait to talk about that match.
That's in a couple.
Okay.
I think we're 2 away. Alley Cat won via a roll-up.
Yeah. Alley Cat seems to win most of her matches at AIW.
She's the uncrowned women's champion.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I mean, no one ever took it off the old champ, so in my mind, she's still champ.
Oh, she is, but if you were to crown one now, that's kind of it. She's our only, like, women's wrestler that's there a lot.
Yeah, the women's division of AIW is like a ghost town. There's just like Alley Cat and Tumbleweed, and occasionally like Zoe Sky will roll through. Faye Jackson comes in, doesn't even have women's matches. She wrestles Twan.
She had a good match versus AK, though.
Yeah.
It also included Twan, but
It did include Twan.
Next up was 40 Acres, Trey Lamar, and PB Smooth versus the Weird World, Weird Body, and Worldwide, Alex Kalar. I kind of feel sad for the Weird World. We don't seem to see them as much. I think we'll probably see them at Wrestle Rager. That's like the home turf for them. But
oh, I can't imagine them not being at Wrestle Rager. Come on, that's blasphemous.
Let me rephrase that. I suspect them to have like a big match at Wrestle Rager.
That's better.
Yeah.
Man, it's always fun when the Weird World's in a match.
Yeah.
Like, how can you watch that team and not like them? That's another where I don't understand how anybody doesn't like that team. Like, how do you look at Weird Body and Worldwide and be like, nah, nope, not for me. Like, they're the best. Baba chops and airplane spins and that weird fucking turtle thing that Weird Body does. Like, it's fantastic.
The only thing that I wish to see from Weird World is actually for them to travel more. I think, as much as we love them, I think there's other territories, other companies that would love them. And I know they're getting out a little bit, but I would love to see more. I've always kind of said how PME is, where they get over instantly, and I think there's that same amount of lovability to the Weird World.
Oh, for sure. I think places that aren't at least trying to book the Weird World are fucking up, because it's going to be an easy face team to have in your promotion going forward. They're the best. But, maybe it's not that people don't reach out. Maybe those guys just don't want to travel or don't, have other obligations and shit. I don't know. I don't know anything about that part.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know that much, and we're not going to delve into that. But from a fan's point of view, I would love to see them in more places, and I think they definitely deserve it. If it doesn't fall in the cards, it sucks that it's like that, but
yeah, man. I'm always happy to see him on an AIW show.
And what this match did was also kind of set up Absolution a little bit more with 40 Acres and the production. It was the production won via headlock driver followed by a full Nelson facebuster. And
man, you just said the production won this match. They ain't even in this match.
40 Acres won.
You didn't.
I'm thinking of the production who came out after all that was said and done. 40 Acres, who had won, PB Smooth and Trey Lamar, and God, I can't remember exactly what the production said. But it was kind of...
They said a lot of things.
Yeah.
They said a whole lot of things.
But they all said something individually, and I don't remember everybody's individual thing.
Well, that's a reason for people to buy it on digital download from SmartMark.
Which it's...
You can hear everything that they said.
And it was kind of because of that whole part that made me really excited for this 6-man tag match.
At Absolution, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man, and the promos leading up to it too. I mean, the one promo that they released, I know at least like part of what was said at the show was kind of the idea was put forth again in the promo leading up to Abso, the video that came out right before it. So you get a little taste of it there. But
was it the one where Eddie Only is fucking cussing the whole time?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'd love that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what he said at the Winchester. It was a good setup to that match. Like, it delivered. It made me really excited about a match that was announced a week before the show.
Now, next up, we had Big Twan Tucker versus All Ego Ethan Page.
Holy shit.
This was a good one.
My God, everything about this match was good.
I felt like this was the warm-up definitely for Big Twan to go up against MJF, and even just like the excitement of the crowd for him to just get it all in and then keep going. Like, he loves this crowd reaction. He loves us going crazy for him. And I think what Absolution, he told me, he's like, I wasn't expecting that much. It's like, yeah, man, you're left here, man.
Big Twan's fucking over. He is way fucking over. Man, there was like a palpable electric feel at the Winchester and at Absolution. But we're talking about the Winchester. And when he came out, like, I'll be honest, that was the first time at this show that we're covering that I had seen him get that, like, that level of a reaction. And boy, man, it lit something inside of Twan. I have not seen Twan that intense ever. It's like a switch flips in his head when he gets in that ring. He's not the kid that's in New York City pretending to shoot Spider-Man webs at the fucking buildings. He's not the nice dude you talk to, before a show. That's a different guy in that ring, man. Boy, Twan's latched onto something, and everybody needs to watch out. Holy shit. And dude, how good was the way Ego started this match?
Oh, so good. You're talking about, like, the whole, like, belt thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, clowning on Twan for, like, oh, man, look, he's living out his dream right now, holding a championship belt. Like, oh, dude, that was so good. Ethan Page is really fucking good. Really fucking good. Like, that was, man, the best. It set the tone for the match. It set the tone for, like, coming out of it, going into Absolution. Like, all of it was so good.
And then, like, it also was a warm-up of Ethan Page is kind of similar to MJF. And that's something that I really liked about it. I mean, those two have been compared for a while. And then you have Twan going up against, how did he put it at the end of the match? You beat the real shit talker, now you can go beat he didn't say wannabe shit talker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the specifics, I'll be honest. I remember the joke, but I don't remember, like, the wording. But yeah, that was the point he was getting across. That he was the real fucking deal. You already beat him, so you should have no problem with MJF at Absolution. But yeah, like, NX Twan chants, big fucking Twan chants, stay woke chants. Like, the crowd is really behind Big Twan right now. It's really cool to see. It's cool to be a part of.
And then I think at this point we went to an intermission. So I guess we will too. We'll be right back right after this.
You wake up every morning, get yourself out of bed, and look in the mirror and realize that you don't recognize the person looking back at you. You don't feel as whole as you should. You feel about half empty. You get in your car and go about your daily activities, and you think about all the opportunities that you missed. Opportunities you didn't take. Doors you left closed instead of open. You think about all the things that you could have done and the things that you chose to do instead. Well, that's where I come in. My name is Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, and I am not only a motivational speaker, but I am a personal development coach, and my 3-principle system has changed the lives of countless people all over the world. I invite all of you to stay with me today and listen as I help you change your lives and give all of you a new beginning. But now you're asking yourself, Dr. Dan, are you going to tell us what the DCR system is? And I will tell you now. The 3 simple principles that change everyone's lives: dedication, confidence, and respect. D, C, and R. If one is dedicated to themselves, confident in oneself, and respectful of oneself, there is nothing that they cannot accomplish. Those 3 principles are the building blocks of anything you wish to achieve. If you just remember D, C, and R, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. But sometimes you feel that isn't enough. Sometimes you need to be a little more focused on the task at hand. But don't worry. To go along with dedication, confidence, and respect, you can always remember rule number 1.
All right, and we came back from intermission with Mikey Millennial versus Eric Taylor versus Lee Moriarty versus Eric Ryan. And Eric Ryan wanted us to start a particular chant. You're going to get your fucking face forked in, I believe what it was.
I do not remember. I'll be honest. I remember not know because Eric Ryan wasn't like pre-announced for this match or anything. There wasn't like you know what I mean? Like this was kind of a surprise match. Mm-hmm. And so like as the music hit, I remember it was like, oh, Mikey, oh, Eric Taylor, okay, this makes sense. Oh, Lee Moriarty. Like, it's like all made sense for it to be like the scramble flippy match. And then, oh, Eric Ryan. Oh, well, this is a different match now.
Yeah, I think if it would have went the way it was originally scheduled, it would have been that. But you add Eric Ryan in, and it's just them doing flippy shit and him kicking the shit out of them.
And him murdering small men.
Yeah.
It was a cool match. I liked it. I continue to always be impressed. Like, Lee Moriarty is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Mikey is really fucking good. And, like, every time I see those guys, those are two guys in particular that, like, every time I see them, I notice something that they're doing better than they used to. Like, they're both really good and improving month after month after month. I don't know what the ceiling's going to be on either of those guys. They're both really fucking good. Not to slate Eric Taylor. He's good, but the other two just I've noticed just improvement upon improvement.
It's crazy like how much Lee Moriarty has shined in AIW in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you're good, you can't deny it, you know? Lee's good.
And it was Lee who won via the Tiger Driver 19.
Yeah, see, like I said, Lee's good.
Next up, we go from that match to Dr. Dan versus Kikutaro.
Oh, boy.
It's another one of those things of like, how can you not love Kikutaro?
Yeah, man, how can't you? Kikutaro is just the fucking best. And he's got the gear with the sponsors on it.
Yeah.
Love it. He came out wearing the fucking Indians jersey with the dude from Major League 2 on it.
Yeah. Was that Tanaka?
Yeah. It's really good. He's just the best. And Dan he makes it so easy to hate him. You know, like he's just really good. This match was a fucking great opportunity for really good comedy wrestling.
Yeah.
And it delivered.
And Dan's not a guy that you think of when it comes to comedy wrestling, but if you look at his resume, there's been a lot of comedy matches.
Yeah, Dan, Dan is really good at working a comedy match. Every time I've seen him in a situation where he's working with a comedy guy, it's always good.
Yeah.
The Joey Ryan match was good.
Man Scout match was good. That goes back a couple years, but that was a really good one. I think about it every so once, and I'm like, fuck, I wish Man Scout was here more often.
Dude, and Kikutaro, like, under fucking appreciated how good some of the spots he does are.
Yes.
Just, and he changes the shit that he does. Like, this match didn't have any, like, slow motion shit in it that I remember.
I thought the Segway or the hoverboard thing, that was kind of slow-mo, only because that's how fast it went. So that, like, that, right. That's your closest. And I wasn't sure, like, are we supposed to be doing the slow motion stuff? Or is this supposed to be just a slow spot?
And I don't know the reality of what went on with that, but I know that to me, watching it as a fan, it felt like it was just him being able to, like, show that he doesn't have to have that in every match. He can kind of do a bunch of different stuff, so that, every time Kikutaro comes to town, there's different shit for you to see. Like, he's got new stuff. I don't know, man. I really dig Kikutaro a lot. And Kikutaro digs Swenson's a lot.
Oh, yeah. That was a good pop where he thought he was going to win. He was going to go celebrate at Swenson's.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I love that thing that he does. Like the little speech at the end, right, when he thinks he's going to win. Like, thank you for coming out. And that was, man, so good. Kikutaro's the best. If you don't like Kikutaro, you just don't like fun.
I've often joked that I want to see Kikutaro versus Matt Justice. Just because Kikutaro always goes, Justice.
Yeah, I think that could be actually a good match.
It was Dr. Dan who won via roll-up.
Well, that's too bad.
Not
Poor
sure.
Kikutaro. Didn't win. No Swensons for him.
No. Need to get him back to another Akron show so we can get more Swensons.
I mean, he probably drove out of his way to go get some. I don't know. Dude seems to really like hamburgers. So.
I can't blame him.
Right.
Oh, you know what we need to introduce him to? Because we're getting close to that time of the year. Motherfucking Pilgrim.
Man, that's such a double-edged sword. Like, I don't want you to remind me that summer's almost over, but I also, boy, a Pilgrim, that'll be nice when it shows. It's like the thing for this area that, like, makes the oncoming winter more bearable is little things like, oh, the Pilgrim. Well, at least I have this thing, as life's starting to be awful. Oh, here's some Christmas ale. Here's some 12 Dogs of Christmas. Oh, boy. It's about to be awful here for 3 months. It's like these little buffers to get you ready for what's going to be, frozen hell for 3 months.
It's like how right now, last week, the NFL season, the preseason technically, kicked off, the opening ceremonies for the Hall of Fame and everything. And it's like that weird reminder that, pretty soon, it's going to be cold. And it's going to be freezing. I love football, but that only means winter's closer.
Yeah, man, it's the other side of the coin for living in Ohio. Like, there's a bunch of stuff I love about Ohio. I hate the fucking winter so much. It's awful.
So, on to happier thoughts. Let's go to Euthanasia versus PME. This, kind of a, warm-up match for PME going into Absolution and going against, the legendary tag team from Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know, you want to say probably the two biggest stars at one point.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Prohibition and Matt Cross. And, man, I feel so lucky that in the past, calendar year or so, I've got to see them wrestle as Euthanasia a couple of times and see them wrestle each other. It's really fucking cool. And it's hard to call this a tune-up for Colin and Cheech, right? But if anything, if you get into this match, I can see from PME's angle what they would be looking at, If we can beat Josh and Matt, well, man, there's nothing stopping us from beating Colin and Cheech.
Yeah. I don't remember much from this match. It was kind of just more of enjoying, PME going up against Euthanasia. And only thing Caden put here is PME picked up the win. He pulled a me, so I can't give him shit.
Yeah, I remember the match being really good. It's so far removed at this point that I don't have any specifics that stand out in my head.
I think one of the reasons why is because the match before it, Kikutaro and Dr. Dan, and then right after it, you have two really big matches, and that's the end of the show.
Yeah, and I mean, that might have played into it some. I don't know. I've seen a lot of wrestling since then, I think, is the problem. So if it's not, even with the whole show, it's nothing about this match in particular. It's the card overall. Unless there was something that really stood out in my brain, just little things here and there in some of the matches, the whole thing's kind of fuzzy at this point. We're almost 2 weeks out from it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way. It was going to be hard to get in this review and the Absolution preview, so that's why we kind of went for this, and that's why, we're recording this the Monday after Absolution, so we're trying to I'm trying to get it as quick as possible. Okay, what can we remember? And then obviously there's other wrestling that we encounter, and I think this particular weekend I went to a show Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so I don't remember everything as much.
Well, I only went to one wrestling show over the weekend, but man, there's a lot of stuff from it that's a lot fresher on the brain.
Next up was KTB versus Sekimoto.
God damn.
I walked into this with no like real knowledge of Sekimoto, but motherfucker made an impression on me. This was a hard hitting match. To borrow a phrase, slobber knocker. Maybe sweat. Just remember the sweat when they hit each other. The lighting was perfect. It just always pop right off.
Man, these two beat the shit out of each other. It was amazing. Sekimoto is just insane to see in person. Like, it's ridiculous. He's fucking, I've never seen a person that looks like Sekimoto ever in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He's just ripped and looks like he could tear you in three. And I thought these two were going to go through the back wall of the Winchester at one point. Like, with how hard they were hitting the ropes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And how close that back wall is to the ring. Man. And how over is KTB, man?
Fucking nuts. One of the dudes who just started showing up, like, it's been almost a year, and he's had some great fucking matches. I'm not just, like, he's been thrown in some scramble matches, but he's also been thrown into match versus Matt Justice, and you have this match. Side note match that I think just got announced for GCW, a rematch, him versus Marco. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the match that kind of put both of those guys on everyone's radar. But boy, KTB he's a guy that I'm really glad is around AIW. I hope he continues to be a fixture around AIW. And I watched, not live, but over the weekend that Sekimoto was in the U.S., I saw 2 of his other matches. And boy, the other ones were great too. But man, I'm glad we got the KTB one in person. It was really fucking good. This match was really good.
So basically, this is another match to check out on Smart Mark Video.
Oh fuck yeah. Yeah, this match makes it 100% worth it. The Ego and Twan match too, and the Super Oprah match. Those things alone. Everything else on the show is good too, but those things, if the whole thing was just those 3 things, you got your money's worth.
Yeah. Next up, we had the main event of the evening: Nick Gage, Matt Justice,
Get your teams right, man.
Sad thing is, I'm the one who tweeted it out. I missed somebody. Nick Gage,
Dominic Garrini.
Dominic Garrini. I totally missed fucking Dom. Apologies, Dom, with everybody coming out.
Jesus Christ, man.
So, Nick Gage, Matt Justice, Dominic Garrini versus Wes Barkley, Josh Bishop, and Tim Donst.
Yeah, Rip City Shooters and Tim Donst.
This was everything I thought it was going to be. Fucking carnage.
Yeah, this one all over the place. Matt Justice walked through the crowd on his way to the ring. Ended up back in the crowd not long after that. There was a point where all these guys have chairs in the crowd with dudes sitting across from them chopping each other on the chairs. This went all over the fucking building. Doors were destroyed. It got bloody. It was good, man. This was a fun match.
Match went everywhere within the crowd, outside the ring, obviously inside the ring. And it was Donst, Barkley, and Bishop that won after Justice hit Gage with a piece of a door. And
who hit Gage with a piece of a door?
Did I say Justice? Thomas.
So for those that weren't at the show, in the middle of the guys who are in this match, which, just to make sure everybody knows again, that's Matt Justice, Nick Gage, Dominic Garrini.
I'm going to edit the shit out of this episode.
The Rip City Shooters. I'm going to make it so you can't edit it out. The Rip City Shooters and Tim fucking Donst. Those are the people who are actually in the match. Affecting the ending of the match is that Zach Thomas comes out of nowhere, a guy who's not in this match, and explodes a door over Nick Gage's fucking head and sets it up for the Rip City Shooters and Tim fucking Donst to pick up the win. It also sets up an absolution match.
Oh, yeah. None other than turning... Well, it didn't set up. It added, because it was already announced that we already had heard Zach Thomas put out a challenge to Gage.
Right.
But it was because of that whole incident, supposedly, Nick Gage said, like, all right, then our match is going to be a death match at Absolution. Said he wasn't supposed to say that. So where we are.
Stay tuned to find out what happened. It was a death match. So yeah, and I mean, this match really did set up like kind of a lot of things going into, or furthered along a lot of things going into Absolution.
Mm-hmm.
With Josh and Matt, with Dom and Donst. The whole thing kind of worked its way around to further stories into Absolution, which it did a great job of.
Definitely the right choice for main event, and like just everybody you had in it, kind of like what you said also too, just it set up a lot of different matches, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the fuck out of that main event.
Yeah, it was good, man. I don't remember like a lot of the individual spots. I remember the one out in the crowd. I just remember it being everywhere. Like there was more going on than you could watch at one time. Yeah.
And those are always kind of interesting matches to watch because you might get one experience watching it live because you're watching something that might not be shown on the recorded version.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's an incentive, when you're at those shows and there's those kind of matches, like, oh man, I kind of do need to pick this one up because I want to see what I missed.
But all in all, that was Sekimoto Takes Cleveland.
Yeah, it was a pretty good show, man. It was. I don't mind the Winchester. I like the gimmick this time of the paying extra to come in and get a seat.
Yeah,
I was okay with that. I like that plan. Winchester wings delivered. I fucked up and spilled our fries. Pam was real mad at me about that. I like the Winchester. I hope they keep doing shows there.
The only thing that I don't like about the Winchester is and it's obviously there's going to be a problem one way or another, is the street parking. Because that was one of those moments I was like, oh, I'd rather pay $10 and park.
Yeah.
Instead of driving down all these streets where like every single spot is taken.
Yeah, that's I completely agree. And where I thought that like the Odeon and people having to pay to park was going to be a little bit bigger of an issue than it really turned out to be, the free parking at the Winchester is kind of a fucking issue. Like if I had the option, we drive from so far away. I mean, we have to bring our car in, but if I lived anywhere on the west side of Cleveland, there is zero chance I would drive a car over to that show. I would either Uber or something.
Yeah, I mean, even me from fucking Akron, I kind of have to drive in. Granted, I know I can't Uber, but it's fucking ridiculous to pay the amount.
You can't Uber from Akron to Cleveland. I mean, you can, but
yeah, you can because brief period of time I was a Uber and Lyft driver, and I picked up a dude not too far from me, took him downtown. Granted, it was at the bus station, but
yeah, I mean, so yeah, you can, but I mean that's not like a feasible.
No,
you're not gonna do that. Not if you don't have to.
Yeah, it is cool to get bar shows, because maybe now the fact that we don't have music links and all that shit, that we do need to have like that type of variety in the schedule.
Yeah, and I mean music links is gone.
Yeah,
like it's not even a venue anymore. Yeah, I like the bar shows. I like you get a little different kind of show at a bar show. There's that Goldhorn Brewery place too,
Oh, that was I forgot about that. That was a good venue too. Well,
yeah.
we picked the good spot, but good venue.
Right. Well, and not in summer. I think it would probably be, because then it won't be so hot. But yeah, I think those kind of shows serve a purpose for AIW that it gives people opportunities that might not get them on bigger shows, and it's cool to like further stories along with. You get more of the diehard crowd at those shows. This is a smaller room. So.
Any final thoughts or last minute plugs before we go?
Super fantastic. Most recent episode is still the Chris Chan episode, where me and Ed from Pod Van Dam start our monthly podcast inside of a podcast, where we're doing Super Chantastic. Where we talk about Chris Chan, which if you don't know who that is, listen to the podcast. He is somehow very fascinating. And boy, I never thought I would be doing a podcast about him when he was first described to me. And when you first hear, like, listen to one episode. Listen to the one. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think you'll be surprised at, like, how all of a sudden you're interested in this dude you had no clue existed prior to that. So that's super fantastic on, iTunes, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts from. And it's super fantastic podcast on Instagram and super fantastic on Twitter, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all the plugs I got, man.
And of course, you can find myself at Heavyset330, much like you can find this show at Wrestling Cheers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Facebook.com/Wrestling Cheers, Twitter.com/Wrestling Cheers, and Instagram.com/Wrestling Cheers. Email, if you so choose to desire, WrestlingCheers@gmail.com. Once again, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this fine podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Podbean, WrestlingCheers.podbean.com. Check out our friends on the Trending Topics Network like All Beer Inside, Eurovision Showcase, Old School at the Movies, and Wrestling with Altitude. Check out our other podcast friends such as Pod Van Dam, Super Fantastic Podcast, Road Home from Wrestling, Haunted Home Video, The IndieCast, Center Stage, Sobros Network, UXWA Today, Big Gold Belt Podcast, The Co-Host Wrestling Show, Spotlight Series, I Got Your 5 Stars, and Not Ready for Primetime Wrestling. Check out our other non-podcasting friends such as Thrift Store Jobber, The Savage Stash, PowerSlam.tv, use Wrestling Cheers, all one word, and get your first month free, Ringside Shots Photography, Sickening Pictures, Stay Tough, Midwest Territory, Southern Underground Pro, and the official graphic designer of Wrestling Cheers, Moy Boy Designs. That will do it for us here on Wrestling Cheers, where everybody knows your name. Even if I fuck it up here on the show and I don't tweet out your name in the match that we all know that you're in. Later.
Dominic Green.
Yep.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Would you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where